Hello and welcome back to the course on blockchain. Super excited about this tutorial because today we're kicking off module number 2 about cryptocurrencies. And in this tutorial we're going to talk about Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? Moreover, we're actually going to create a very clear understanding of different things like blockchain, Bitcoins, protocols, coins, tokens, and things like that, because there's a lot of confusion out there. There are a lot of misleading terms. We're going to clear that up once and for all so we lay a very, very good foundation for us to move forward with the rest of this module and the rest of the course. All right, so let's dive straight into it. In the crypto world, there are 3 very important layers. Layer 1 is technology. Layer 2 is protocol and also includes coin. And layer 3 is token. And this is going to be our roadmap of where everything fits in, how the puzzle comes together. At the top, we've got blockchain. That is the technology that we've been talking about in module 1, and we've discussed in detail. We know how it works. Then in layer 2, in the protocol layer, we have things like Bitcoin. And it's very important here to understand that Bitcoin is not just a coin. It's not just a currency. It's an actual protocol. And what is a protocol? A protocol is a set of rules that guides how participants of a network communicate with each other. For example, TCP or IP or HTTP, those are all protocols because they allow participants of networks to communicate with each other. The IP protocol is the internet protocol, allows us all to participate in the internet. HTTP is the hypertext transfer protocol, which allows our browsers to display websites correctly. Bitcoin is no different. It is a protocol, it's a set of rules on how participants of the Bitcoin network will communicate with each other and agree on things. For example, the protocol dictates how they should come to consensus on things. We've talked about that before. The protocol also dictates how public keys and signatures should be used for authentication. And that's something we'll talk about further down in the course. The protocol also dictates on how they agree on updates to the protocol itself. And lots more other things that are required in order for this whole network to function correctly. There's also other protocols in the world of crypto. For example, there's a protocol you may have heard of, Ethereum, a very, very famous protocol, and we'll talk more about it in this course, of course. There's also Ripple, there's Neo, there's Waves, and there's lots and lots more others. There's not enough space on this slide to fit them all in. Litecoin is a protocol, Bitcoin Cash is a protocol, Zcash is a protocol, Monero is a protocol. There's lots of different protocols in the world of cryptocurrencies, which all rely on the same technology, and the technology is blockchain. Now, the next step is that protocols actually contain within them an important feature, and that feature is called the coin. Each one of these protocols has its own coins. Bitcoin has the Bitcoin, Ethereum has Ether, Ripple has Ripple. It's usually just named after the protocol itself. But there's only one coin attached to every protocol. Every protocol has a coin attached to it. And the coin is an innate asset of the protocol which facilitates the interaction of players, which is used to reward people for mining the blockchain and adding blocks. It's also used for people to be able to purchase things from each other and so on. So that is the coin. Next, we move on to layer 3. And layer 3 is the token. And a token is, when you hear the term ICO, initial coin offering, it's a very, very misleading term. It's a great term, but it's misleading because ICO is actually about tokens. So ICOs, even though it's called initial coin offerings, what they're offering are tokens. And we'll talk more about ICOs and tokens in module 3 of the course, but right now it's important to understand the difference, that coins are in layer 2, tokens are in layer 3. So tokens, they rely on smart contracts, which are built on top of the different protocols we see in layer 2. For example, in Ethereum is the most popular protocol for creating smart contracts and for creating, therefore, tokens. It has the highest number of tokens. There's hundreds of tokens on Ethereum. There's just a couple of examples of them. And for instance, Bitcoin has no tokens on it because it does not facilitate that concept of creating smart contracts, and therefore nobody creates tokens on Bitcoins. You just cannot do that. Ripple also doesn't have any tokens on it. Neo, on the other hand, has quite a lot of tokens. Neo is the up-and-coming challenger of Ethereum, and Waves has a couple of tokens on it as well. So that's how the world of crypto currencies and just crypto technology and blockchain works. As we can see, there's 3 layers. We discussed this layer in module 1. We're going to be talking about this layer in module 2, predominantly about this layer, and this layer will be covering off in module 3. For now, very important to understand the difference between a coin and a token, and that ICOs refer to tokens rather than coins. And yeah, and let's have a look now at this website here, which is called coinmarketcap.com. You've probably seen people reference this website if you've been dabbling in the world of cryptocurrency and maybe watching some videos on YouTube. Then you would have seen people reference coinmarketcap.com and come here to explore things like the volume or the trading volume, the market capitalization of the currency, the graphs, the prices, and so on. And so right away, you can see there's like hundreds and hundreds of cryptocurrencies. But the whole term, and look at the market capitalization of everything together, $442 billion. That's insane. So what is a bit confusing here is the whole term cryptocurrencies. What does that refer to? Does it refer to the coins or the tokens? And that's why, luckily, they have here a button or 2 tabs, one for coins and one for tokens. And that's exactly what we spoke about. That here right now we have a mix of coins and tokens, and we can just go to coins to see those coins that we'll be talking about in module 2. So even here, it's important to understand the difference, right? So if somebody is investing into a coin, they're investing into the protocol of the underlying that coin. So Bitcoin or Ethereum, Ripple, and so on. If they're investing into a token, then you're investing into the idea behind what they're building. So you can see that which tokens are on which platform. See Ethereum. So this token is on it. These are mostly on Ethereum. This one is on Neo, an Omni, another one, Ardor. So very interesting situation there. Red Pulse is on Neo. So, and if you're investing into a token, you're investing into idea. But we're not going to be talking about investing right now. The whole point is that coins are different to tokens. And the other point is that there's tons of them. As you can see, there's tons of them. And so what we'll be covering off in this course is predominantly about Bitcoin, but at the same time, a lot of the concepts are applicable across different coins and protocols. And the reason why we're choosing Bitcoin, because it's the most famous one, it's the most popular one, it's the one that's been around for longest, and it's much better to cover off all of these things with a working example rather than just talk about general theoretical ideas. And that will put things into perspective. And then if you ever want to move on to something else like Ethereum, Ripple, Litecoin, and learn about it, it will be very easy to transfer the knowledge. Okay, and so let's quickly talk about what Bitcoin actually is. So Bitcoin was invented in 2008 by a person or people who were operating under the name Satoshi Nakamoto. Nobody knows exactly who Satoshi Nakamoto is. They don't know if it's one person or many people, and it's still a mystery. But nevertheless, there's a white paper published under the name Satoshi Nakamoto. It happened in 2008, which explains this whole system in a lot of detail, all of the ideas, many of the ideas that we talked about in Module 1, many of the ideas that we'll talk about in Module 2 here. And then in 2009, the Bitcoin system was implemented. There's actually a really cool visualization of the GitHub repository, how it was changing, and they show how Bitcoin was created, which people worked on Bitcoin, and so on. And so, yeah, it started in 2009, so it's almost 10 years old, and it's still being developed. It's like always growing, and there's lots and lots of participants. So what is Bitcoin all about? Well, Bitcoin is about taking that blockchain technology, which we covered in detail in Module 1, and taking it from theory and moving it to practice so that a network of people can transact with each other using this technology. So that now all of a sudden they don't need intermediaries between them, that even though they haven't never met each other, they can still trust each other because they trust the technology behind it. And that pulls out all of the different intermediaries such as banks from the system. So that layer 2 is about creating a protocol of helping people transact. An inherent component of transacting is exchange of value. And that's why the coins are part of layer 2. They're part of the protocol. And that's why the protocol removes one of the biggest intermediaries that we know about is the banking sector, is the banking system. As you can see, there's no bank in the middle here that people are transacting through. At the same time, we know that blockchain can be used for many different things, from healthcare to media distribution to logistics. Pretty much any industry you think of, it can be used there. Well, that can be built on top of the protocol that is created by Bitcoin, Ethereum, Neo, and so on. And that's where the tokens come in. That's the next layer. That's layer 3, when we disrupt other industries. In layer 2, it's about creating this system where people can transact with each other, and as a part of it, removing the banking intermediaries, because an important component of transacting is exchange of value. And finally, the Bitcoin ecosystem includes the following participants. They're nodes, and it's not a term for people, it's a term for rather the devices that people use that participate in the network, which are not mining the network. So just people or devices of people who want to transact with each other on this network. There's miners, and following the tradition from Module 1, we're just going to keep representing miners with a laptop, and these are participants who actually help the blockchain itself grow by mining it, by adding transactions into blocks and blocks into the blockchain. There are large miners. We'll see examples of those. These are miners with lots and lots of power, lots and lots of devices and equipment, which have make a large contribution to the growth of the chain. And they are mining pools. That's when miners get together to work together on the mining process. So there we go. That is what Bitcoin is all about. That's the Bitcoin ecosystem. And probably the most important thing to remember is that Bitcoin is a protocol. It's not just a coin. It's a protocol that facilitates the blockchain technology and makes it come to life. Just one of the protocols. There's multiple different protocols. And on that note, here is a suggestion for additional reading. This is the actual original white paper by Satoshi Nakamoto. It's called Bitcoin, a Peer-to-Peer Electronic Cash System. And you can find it on the Bitcoin website, bitcoin.org/bitcoin.pdf. Interesting read. I wouldn't say that it's too technical. Some parts are technical, but there's no complex math or anything like that. Or even just like looking at the paper and reading the abstract and the first couple of pages can be useful just for understanding where all of these things came from that are changing the world, that are disrupting the way we think, and that it's going to be one of the biggest disruptors in the next 10 years. And on that note, I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and things are much clearer now, and we've laid a good foundation for the rest of the course going forward. I look forward to seeing you back here next time, and until then, enjoy blockchains.